Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome back to my reading journey. Hope you're all doing absolutely great. And today I'm gonna continue with the fourth part of the hypothesis of failure. So let's do this. Madame, said Lord Gooch, your last two or three sentences delight me with their intelligence and clearness. Can we not now abandon the hypothetical and comes down to names and business? I should say so, exclaimed the lady, adopting the practical with admirable readiness. Thomas R. Billings is the name of the low brood who stands between the happiness of his legal, but not his spiritual wife, and Henry K. Jessup, the nobleman whom nature intended for her maid. I, concluded the client, with an air of dramatic revelation, I'm Mrs. Billings. Revelation. Gentlemen, to see you, sir, shouted Archibald, invading the room almost at a handspring. Lord Gooch arose from his chair. Mrs. Billings, he said courteously, allow me to conduct you into the adjoining office apartment for a few minutes. I'm expecting a very wealthy old gentleman on business connected with a will. In a very short while, I will join you and continue our consultation. With his accustomed chivalrous manner, Lord Gooch ushered his soulful client into the remaining unoccupied room and came out, closing the door with circumspection. The next visitor, introduced by Archibald, was a thin, nervous, irritable-looking man of middle age, with a worried and apprehensive expression of countenance. He carried in one hand a small satchel, which he set down upon the floor beside the chair which the lawyer placed for him. His clothing was of good quality, but it was worn without regard to neatness or style, and appeared to be covered with the dust of travel. You make a specialty of the worst cases, he said, in an agitated but businesslike tone. I may say, began Lord Gooch, that my practice has not altogether avoided. I know you do, interrupted client number 3. You needn't tell me. I've heard all about you. I have a case to lay before you without necessarily disclosing any connection that I may have with it. That is, you wish, say, said Lord Gooch, to state a hypothetical case. You may call it that. I'm a plain man of business. I will be as brief as possible. We'll first take up the hypothetical woman. We will say she is married uncongenially, It may, in many ways, she is a superior woman. Physically, she is considered to be handsome. She is devoted to what she called literature, poetry, and prose, and such stuff. Her husband is a plain man in the business, walks of life. Their home has not been happy, although the husband has tried to make it so. Some time ago, a man, a stranger, came into the peaceful town in which they lived and engaged in some real estate operations. This woman met him and unaccount, became unaccount, unaccountably infatuated with him. Her attentions became so open that the man felt the community to be no safe place for him. So he left it. She abandoned husband at home and followed him. She forsook her home, where she was provided with every comfort, to follow this man who had inspired her with such a strange affection. Is there anything more to be deplored? Concluded the client in a trembling voice. Than the wrecking of a home by a woman's uncalculating folly. Lord Gooch delivered the conscious opinion. Delivered the conscious opinion that there was not. This man she was going to join, resumed the visitor, is not the man to make her happy. It is a wild and foolish self-deception that makes her think he will. Her husband, in spite of their many disagreements, is the only one capable of dealing with her sensitive and peculiar nature. But this she does not realize now. What do you consider a divorce, the logical cure in the case you present? Asked Lord Gooch, who felt that the conversation was wandering too far from the field of business. A divorce, exclaimed the client feelingly, almost tearfully. No, not that. I have read, Mr. Gooch, of many instances where your sympathy and kindly interest led you to act as a mediator between estranged husband and wife. Estranged. And brought them together again. Let us drop the hypothetical case. I need conceal no longer that it is I who am the sufferer in this said affair. The names you shall have: Thomas R. Billings and wife, and Henry K. Jessup, the man whom she is infatuated. Interesting word. Client number 3 laid his hand upon Mr. Gooch's arm. Deep emotion was written upon his careworn face. For heaven's sake, he said fervently, help me in this hour of trouble. Seek out Mrs. Billings and persuade her to abandon this distressing pursuit of her lamentable folly. Tell her, Mr. Gooch, that her husband is willing to receive her back to his heart and home. Promise her anything that will induce her to return. I have heard of your success in these matters. Mrs. Billings cannot be very far away. I'm worn out with travel and weariness. I'm worn out with travel and weariness. Twice during the pursuit I saw her, but various circumstances prevented our having an interview. Will you undertake this mission for me, Mr. Gooch, and earn my everlasting graduate? All right. It is true, said Lawyer Gooch, frowning slightly at the other's last word, but immediately calling up an expression of virtuous benevolence, that on a number of occasions I have been successful in persuading couples who sought the severing of their matrimonial bonds to think better of their rash intentions to return to their homes reconciled. But I assure you that the work is often exceedingly difficult. The amount of argument, perseverance, and, if I may be allowed to say it, eloquence that is requires would astonish you. But this is the case in which my sympathies would be wholly enlisted. I feel deeply for you, sir, and I would be most happy to see husband and wife reunited. But my time, concluded the lawyer, looking at his watch as if suddenly reminded of the fact, is valuable. I'm aware of that, said the client, and if you will take the case and persuade Mrs. Billings to return home and leave the man alone that she is following, on that day I'll pay you the sum of $1,000. I have made a little money in real estate during the recent bottom in Susanville, and I will not begrudge that amount. Retain your seat for a few minutes, please, said Lord Gooch, rising and again consulting his watch. I have another client waiting in an adjoining room, whom I had very nearly forgotten. I will return in the briefest possible space. All right, guys, we're gonna continue tomorrow, and I'm planning to finish this story tomorrow, and let's see what's gonna happen. Thank you for joining me today, and see you tomorrow on the last part. Thank you. Bye.